didn't just happen.
The entire chess world is still reeling from this game, this match, this post-match interview. We've got Hans Niemann, the bad boy of chess, on a collision course with Magnus Carlsen and playing with white in this game. Say it ain't so. Wesley's a pro, a top 10 grandmaster for the last decade or so. This is an exceptional, insane game. Don't miss a beat, and then we're going to talk about some of the details of where we go from here. We see e4 played on the board, best by test. Hans goes for his solid e5. Both of these knights develop into the game with a winnie, and now bishop b5, and Wesley does it with an extra whoosh, real panache in how he says it, because there's a guy next to him checking he's not cheating. Same for Hans Niemann. They're called proctors. Rumour has it there were even cavity searches before the match begun. Thankfully that wasn't caught on camera. We now see knight f6, and it's the Berlin defence. Kramnik, watching the game at the time, listen to this.
Pooh. What a move.
He knows what an overpowered opening this is, and Wesley just goes d3, covers his centre. Hans develops his own bishop, sniping at f2, and now the c pawn advances, preparing to erect the big white centre. Both players castle, do a king safety fist bump, explode it out. Many top professionals do that, and now rook e8, very natural, met by another pony developing into the game. We see a6, putting a question to that bishop, so Wesley picks it up and mangles the pawn structure, but leaves Hans Niemann with two c pawns. Very tasty. Why is he giving up the bishop pair? Well, knight c4, rotating into that explosive square, attacking the weakened pawn here, starts to show why. d4 could be on the way, white with the fluid structure. Knight d7, backpedaling to defend, rook e1, and now tell me you're a grandmaster without telling me you're a grandmaster. Bishop f8. What a retreating move. The proctor next to Hans Niemann even starts purring like a cat. We see a4 on the board. Hans Niemann goes full black-eyed peas, meets him halfway, and now d4 for the score, taking the centre. Niemann captures. He's fully given Wesley that central control, but he wants to fight against it. Maybe with c5 one day, f5, break up the pawns, and now this knight under fire, and you can play knight c to e5 here. Keep pieces on the board, keep it a bit more tense. You've got the centre, the space, but Wesley doesn't do it. He's getting increasingly like Anish here. Soon he'll be releasing a book like this. All he wants to do is steer it towards a draw. We see takes on b6 played, boo, pieces leaving the board, pawn recaptures, and h3 now played, just stopping bishop g4. So bishop e6 played instead. Queen c2, h6 because obviously, and bishop d2. Prepares to, well, we're going to see, because after queen f6, rook e3, rook a d8, centralizing the cannons, the bishop hits the promised land. Eyeballs the black queen and the king side here, and so this queen slides over to the right. Niemann sees the idea. Knight e5 now very playable, because you open the rook to defend this pawn. No need to worry about the king. But king h1 played, tiny bit meek, and bishop d6 now on the board. It's like ABBA reunited. You got the boys at the back, girls at the front, and now we see knight e5. Mamma mia, the queen's under fire. Hans moves it off here, doesn't want to give up the bishop pair just yet, but Wesley, full throttle now, plays pawn f4, looking to destroy Niemann. Thank you for the music, but now I'm going to checkmate your king. So Niemann fights back. He has to advance this f-pawn to break up Wesley's pawn, but what a move this is. Attacking finesse of the finest order, pawn to g4. The rook holds the backwards h3 pawn. Hans captures, of course. You can't recapture here. There's a pin, but that's not even Wesley's point. He wants to instead go pawn f5 on the board, pick up pieces, steamroll Hans, bring this second rook into the party. So what do we see in response? Well, not this bishop retreating. Then this huge attack ensues for white with rook g1. Instead, Niemann comes up with the incredible move of pawn to c5, and if you capture this bishop, not played, we go to the back cave, then black takes on d4, hitting this one here, so capture's very natural, but aha, This is the point. You take on me, win back your piece. This is how the line could go. These pawns weak, black well in the game, doing amazingly well, the king exposed. So none of that played. We don't see this takes on e6 move. Instead, we see this move of takes on c5, not the engine's favourite. Stock Barnacle wanted queen e2 or d5, but this is human chess. Niemann now takes here, bishop recaptures, and bishop d7 best. Bouncing around here, bishop f7 selected instead, but firing blanks down that long diagonal. Bit of a jaffa. The bishop now drops back, it was attacked, and there's an amazing move for black here of sacrificing on e4, with the point being that now you crash through to the king, and the bishop hits this long diagonal. If the rook moves anywhere, you come in with the queen here, the king gets hunted, so you win back in exchange. This is how the game could have proceeded. Computer gives it level, but not played. Niemann plays the incredible pawn g5. His style is out of this world aggressive, always looking to mix it up. Now queen g2 looks to do some defense, and after bishop d5, taking advantage of this pin, Wesley double stacks the two towers, and the bishop now has to drop back, but it stays on a great diagonal. King g1 best, but not played. Wesley takes on g4. Stockfish hates it, restores that bar to level because you can take, played, pawn recaptures, and then crash through, but again not played by hands. Did he see it and not play it, or is he trying to keep the game super complicated? This is how the line goes, and you get an opposite colour bishop's endgame should be drawn. Instead, we see pawn takes on c5 here. Given the question mark, white stands better because after the king breaks the pin, the tactics no longer exist, and look at these pawns running down the board. e5 best, but Wesley snatches a pawn first, the rook saves itself, now the bishop drops back, comes into c4 here, and after king g3, bishop c6, Wesley gets this pawn armada rumbling, an avalanche. It's space invaders on the board. h5 to try and break them up, but after captures, rook f4 the point, still f6 is played, and you can't stop the advance of these pawns. Rook e6 tries it, but look at this from Wesley. He now redeploys his forces to the open file, but in slightly the wrong order. He should go with this rook. He plays this rook across, leaving this one undefended. This one was defended, and it allows a tactic of rook takes here. If captures, this one drops off the board, and it should be a level game, again with the opposite bishops, but it was missed once more. Hans goes for this bishop e8 move, spinning round. We see rook d6 invading, again the tactic exists, missed. We see a bishop f7 instead. The rooks now double, and Wesley firmly in the driving seat. Rook e4 coming behind the pawn, h6 on the board, king h7, rook d7. Now the king has to come and defend, and Wesley is +6 here. It's huge for a super grandmaster. Any grandmaster, he can play a move like h7, distract the king, take the bishop, or come with the rook to stop the queen being made. But then you have lines like this. It's absolute paralysis. White starts doing a mop-up job. I mean, look at these pawns, look at the activity of the rook, the king. We won't keep going on the line. This was crushing, but not played. Instead, we see rook e7, one of the most horrendous moves you've ever seen, because after captures, pawn takes back. Those are some ugly e-pawns. Wesley shot himself in the foot. We see king takes on h6, rook d8 to make the queen here, b5 on the board, rook f8, the bishop now defended, and king f3 the strongest move for white. Wesley is still winning, huge advantage, but he's made things harder for himself, because after this move of making the queen, king f3 not played to hit back the rook, you now see bishop takes, rook recaptures, and b4. Niemann getting some counterplay here. Rook e6 check best, but we're going to stick on with the game. It's a long one. The bishop saves itself, attacked now by the rook, and if you come back to c1, well, you can harass the bishop some more, control the e3 square, not allow bishop e3 and this kind of thing. So instead, we see the rook support this one, but the pawn drops off the board. This is incredible. Both of those past connected pawns gone, deleted. Niemann withdrawing chances now, and after king g4, we get some mistake moves, but they're low on time. king f3, rook h4 is best, because after rook e5, now this bishop activates, the c pawn under fire, king f5 played, and look at this. Wesley So has the simplest of wins here with check. King going, rook's leaving the board and dropping this one off. And how do you actually defend these pawns? The answer is you don't. This is a sample line. You bounce around with the bishop, hold everything together, eventually the king will march in, eat this pawn, lost game. That was the way to go with this check, but in not played, we see rook g8 on the board, goes after this pawn, but Hans marches in with the king. This is incredible. This pawn drops, king c4, the bishop dropping back, rook is saved, now Niemann marches, and you won't believe this. In just a moment, Niemann is no longer even just playing for a draw. He completely flips the tables, pushes this pawn, now it gets all the way to c2, and the rook's got to come back and stop the pawn promoting. This rook pins the bishop to the king. Rook c1, rook d1, the rook has to drop off the board. We suddenly reach an endgame. Niemann's not only just drawing now from a completely lost position, but he's the one pressing for the win. This should be a technical draw, but they've got seconds on the clock. This is just insane. The twist we see on the board, the king marches to the correct corner, a light squared one, so that you can defend it with bishop b8 in these checking lines. King b6 played, setting up this kind of idea, and now what should white do? Well, bishop f4, bishop g3, anything like that is fine. Then when the check comes, you can retreat, block the king. That's the way to go. But Wesley So plays the absolutely shocking bishop to b8. Completely blundering checkmate, because Hans now switches the angle of attack, gives a check, the bishop has to block, it drops from the board, Wesley resigns the game. All he has to do is come here, this then forces a mate.
Oh, he blundered rook a5! No! No, this didn't just happen. No, this did not just happen.
I'm lost for words.
Absolutely unbelievable, and almost as unbelievable as the post-match interview. If you've not seen that one, I'll link it down in the comments below, and smash subscribe, because I'll be back later with Magnus versus Arjun, the other quarter-final. If Magnus wins that one, then he is on a collision course with Hans Niemann in Paris, on site, in person, finale. This is absolutely hotting up. Smash subscribe, never miss a video, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.